Hi everyone, this is Robin I'm the Director of Communications for Destiny Adoption Foundation. We are here with Angie Dixon. Angie, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am the mother of 5 kids. I have 2 biological kids, and then we adopted 3 kids through foster care. In 2013 is when we started fostering, and then we adopted early 2014.
Wow, that's quite the history. What kinds of things do you guys like to do together?
We love to hang out, and we like to go watch movies. We have an RV and we love to travel. One of our family goals is to visit all 48 states.
Wow.
Before the kids grow up. And so we have 12 more, and we're knocking those out this summer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and our kids, they love to travel now.
Yeah.
But when we first got the 3 littles, a little funny story, we drove an hour and a half to my in-laws, and they weren't used to driving in the dark.
Right.
And so they wanted lights on in the car. And we learned really quick, okay, if we're going to be road warriors and do all this traveling, we need to condition them. And,
yes.
And so we did many road trips, and we love spending hours and hours together in an RV or a car and driving cross country.
That sounds so fun. Where did your adopted children come from? Are they from a different country? Are they
They're from the
What's their
United
background?
States. We lived in California and adopted them through foster care.
Okay.
My kids are all biological siblings.
Okay.
And we just when we felt prompted to adopt, we knew right away that it just wasn't one child. We had no idea how many, we had no idea who. We just felt that this is what God had intended for us and the path that we needed to follow. And we got 3 beautiful kids that we knew that were part of our family.
So what made you decide to adopt? Just that feeling and that prompting?
Yeah, so a little bit of my background. Our oldest son had a stroke before he was born. And in that process, we found out that we have blood conditions that are not only dangerous for our children, but also for me being pregnant.
Okay.
And so we were advised not to have any more kids. We went against that and had 1 more. In that process, she had some issues, just being born early. She had issues. And then I had really bad postpartum. So kind of all of those things combined, we just knew that we were not going to have any more biological kids. But we've always wanted a bigger family.
Yeah.
And we kind of came to terms with that this was just our family of 4, and that was good. I kind of dealt with some postpartum stuff, and it kind of took us years to get to the point of there are more kids in your future.
Wow.
And it wasn't until our youngest was 7, that's when we adopted. And at that time they were 3, 4, and 5.
Well, and just to have that desire because you were already raising the kids and they're hard. Being a mom is hard.
Yeah.
So that just shows how awesome your character is to still have that desire and act on those promptings from Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
How has adopting changed your life and your husband's life?
Oh my goodness. Adoption rocks. I feel so blessed to be part of adoption. Not only for us and being able to have prayers answered and listen and act on those promptings, but also for these kids. I feel very strongly that they were supposed to be part of our family, but due to circumstances that, we couldn't have any more biological children. And so I just feel by the grace of God, He has His hand in these things.
Yes.
And so when there are young mothers who get in situations that, they didn't think would happen for choices that they make, there is something beautiful that can come from that, and that's adoption.
I agree. What have been some of your guys' biggest challenges with adopting?
Well, having 2 biological kids and then welcoming these 3 kids. The first night, we say prayers every night, and so then after that it was going to bed, and it took 2 hours from getting them physically in bed to getting them asleep. They were used to having TVs in their room, used to falling asleep watching TV, and we just said, okay, we just have to have the rules from day one.
Right.
And the funniest thing was my husband was kind of massaging and rubbing through one of my son's hair, and he's like, it's okay, you can just relax. And he was like, I'm not tired. And then he just kind of melted in
like on the movies.
to this, yes, like, oh my gosh, this feels so good.
Aww.
So we celebrated those little moments.
You have to.
Every night we cut bedtime 10 minutes, woohoo! We're celebrating in the hallway, and just kind of blending these families, these kids that weren't siblings before, but are definitely now.
Right.
And it's amazing because we look back at family pictures before we were a whole family, and it's almost like, where were Tony, Jack, and Caitlin?
Yeah.
And it's, yeah.
That's cute. How is, besides obvious blessings, what are some personal blessings that you've received as a woman and a mother and just a person?
I've received many blessings. I would feel the biggest one is understanding forgiveness and being able to just understand that there are circumstances that happen in people's lives. Some as a result of just choices that are made. Some maybe not so directly choices that were made, but circumstances arise, and that we can grow above that, and we can make changes. Personally in my life, that was a very devastating thing for me that I couldn't have more kids. I was a nanny growing up. I had lots of kids that I considered my own.
That was your picture of your life.
Yeah, and to not have that, kind of a piece of me died for several years, and it took those years, and I think that I needed to be groomed back into that so that I was ready for this, that was coming into my life later. This was not something that was on our agenda. I never thought that I would be adopting kids, even after we realized that we couldn't have any more.
It still wasn't the first thing that was...
No, not at all. It was acceptance of our family just the way it was.
Right.
But it wasn't, once we got that prompting that there is more for you, and that we got a very firm, there was a very firm instance where it was like, you need to do this now. And it was amazing because we went through a group, an adoption agency, and we got in right at the beginning of one of their courses. And had we missed that,
it would have taken
a lot longer. We would have missed the window with these kids. And so I just see the Lord's hand in timing and in all of this, how it all played out.
Was it something that you felt just by yourself, or you and your husband were kind of praying together, and so it was kind of the same feeling together as a couple, or did one of you feel it stronger?
I felt this overwhelming voice that basically said, you need to do this now. And I was like, what? How? Where? What?
Yeah.
And I knew at that moment it wasn't just one. And so we were actually visiting, we were at a wedding for one of these family members that I would nanny for. And so driving home, I was like, hey, so have you felt anything weird lately? Because boy, do I have something to talk to you about. And it just he had kind of been feeling the same things. And I said, well, I have one more wrench to throw at you. It's not just one. And he's like, yeah, I feel the same thing. And so I just from the beginning, it was us on board together. That's and awesome. I think that's so important when you're in this, that you make the decision, you have family, friends support with you, all of that, and it just really helps.
What are some things that you guys talk about now that you wish you would have known before adoption? There's
not a lot that we really talk about we wish we would have known. In our situation, we didn't foster any other kids. It was a kind of a one and done this group into our house, and I think that was really good because we had 2 older kids, and I think, in and out with different kids would have been hard for everybody.
Right, because they bond and they grow together, and then it changes.
Yeah. I think that we got really good training through the agency that we went through. They really kind of give it to you straight with some of these issues that kids who have been in different situations, especially in foster care, can be facing. One example was our son had a lot of behavioral issues directly towards his last foster mom before he came to us, and so of course I was nervous. But it just translated to he knew that wasn't where he was supposed to be, and a little 5-year-old boy does not know how to express that.
Right, and that's where the forgiveness, not like you have to forgive a 5-year-old, but that's how your heart was softened also for that situation, to be able to realize that it wasn't you, if there was difficulties. So that's kind of cool to see how that was part of the transformation too.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would change about the adoption process or your guys' process? Not the kids, just the process in general.
No, I had a very good experience, and I think it was because we went through an agency and we had that help. We went through it, with nothing before.
Right.
And so to have that help and that guidance really kind of prepared us for worst case scenarios, maybe. And I think that really prepared us for the issues that our son was dealing with, and we were able to help him work through those.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
What advice would you give prospective parents that are trying to adopt or interested in it or just haven't had that final push yet?
I would say it is a scary thing. It really is when you look at this, especially in my situation, because I already had kids and I didn't know what I was going to bring into the situation. But at the same time, I felt peace and reassurance through it all. And I believe it's because I'm a faith-based woman and I rely a lot on, prayer and guidance and support. And so if you have that support, whether it's from your deity, whether it's from your family, that's so important.
And it just gives you that extra confidence to exude in all of the situations that you might face.
Yeah, and recognize it's going to be hard and celebrate those little moments.
How, just personally, how do you celebrate the little moments? Just how do you naturally get into that mindset?
Well, like the example of bedtimes, we seriously celebrate in the hall. We kind of like, okay, it's 8:15 right now. Oh my gosh, it's 10 now.
Yeah.
We knocked 15 minutes off. High five.
So it's just you gotta be willing to be in the moment and be present.
And just not have high expectations. We were at church one Sunday and we didn't really know our kids' cries yet. And somebody was crying and we're like, is that one of our kids? We don't know. We don't know what their cries are yet. And just kind of being lighthearted and understand this is so difficult for these kids, especially if they've been in multiple placements. Right. And it's not going to mesh from day one.
Right.
You're going to have great moments. You're going to have
downtime.
It's going to be this ebb and flow. Yeah. But if you've ever, and I would recommend watching Instant Family, because it is so true, a lot of the things on there.
I've heard a lot. I have seen that, but coming from a birth mom perspective, it's different. So I've heard that a lot from adoptive families, and it's just such a cute show too.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I just feel really blessed that I've been able to have adoption, bless my life, bless my kids. I think that my kids have a lot more empathy for situations,
which is excellent
in the world. I hope that we can raise them. We raise them that they're adopted. They're in their situation. We still have contact with their biological grandmother. They have a half sister that gets to come and visit. So we still have those connections, and I would not begrudge that or trade that for anything, because that's a part of who they are, and we celebrate that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I just think you're amazing that you wanted to grow a bigger family when you didn't necessarily have to, and even after knowing how hard children were, to have that desire to take that in, and that just shows how Christ-like you are and how Christ-like your home is. I can feel it just being in here, that he is present in your guys' family, and I'm thankful that you were able to let us come in and just take a few minutes of your time
Yes.
and share your story. So thank you, Angie.
Yes, thank you so much.